There are a few things about afternoon tea that visitors to Britain get wrong. One is that people assume all English folk have afternoon tea regularly, on the daily, if not often. And actually, I think it's a pretty rare occurrence for English people to have afternoon tea, more of maybe a special celebration. And in fact, I've met lots of people in England who have never had afternoon tea. So if you are British, comment below and tell me how often you have afternoon tea and maybe if you've never had it at all. The other misunderstanding is Americans often call afternoon tea high tea, and many of them don't know what cream tea is. So if you are unfamiliar with afternoon tea, how it differs from high tea or cream tea, or what is included in an afternoon tea, then stay tuned as Dara from 2020 educates you on all these things. When a British person says they want tea, what kind of tea could that mean? For starters, it could be simply just a cup of tea, or it could be tea as in tea meaning dinner. So what about this thing called high tea? Well, when Americans hear the term high tea, they imagine pinkies in the air, something very stuffy and high class, something that aristocratic women with large hats and bustles and whatnot would wear, like Downton Abbey. But actually, it's very far from that. The term high tea is a working class term referring to the dinner meal. So high tea originated as something that would be eaten right after the workday, so a little after 5 p.m. And it was a heavy meal that would have something like pie, a beef or pork or steak and kidney pie, vegetables, some type of bread, baked goods, things like that. Heavy sustenance, stick to the ribs kind of food. Not at all the dainty types of foods that we associate with afternoon tea. In fact, it's believed that the term high tea comes from the fact that the meal was eaten either at higher chairs that you would find in a pub or high back chairs that you would find around a kitchen table in someone's home. But we're here today to talk about afternoon tea. And to do that, we need to start by talking about this lovely woman, the Duchess of Bedford, Anna Russell. She is who we have to thank for afternoon tea. She was a lifelong friend of Queen Victoria's, and in this time period, the mid-1800s, it was customary for people to eat a breakfast meal in the mid-morning, and then an evening meal quite late in the evening, perhaps as late as 9 p.m. The way the tale is told, our Duchess here found herself feeling a bit peckish mid-afternoon and didn't want to go so long without eating. So, afternoon tea was invented as a meal to eat in between. The ironic thing is that this fancy afternoon tea is often eaten in chairs that are low to the ground, like living room or lounge chairs, and so it's also sometimes referred to as low tea. One last type of tea to talk about before we move on, and that is the cream tea. A cream tea is simply tea with scones, clotted cream, and jam. And it is in fact a subset of a full afternoon tea, which we will get to in the next section, parts of a full afternoon tea. Afternoon tea often, but not always, is served on a cool 3-tiered serving tray like this. Let's break down all the parts of the full tea. First, of course, you have the tea. Now, it could be loose leaf, it could be bagged tea, but it's pretty much always served in a lovely little teapot to keep the tea warm. Next up, we have finger sandwiches. So they might be served on the tower or they might be served on a separate tray, but these lovely little crustless sandwiches come in a wide array of possible choices. And the best part is that you are usually given at least a few varieties to choose from. So there might be ham, roast beef, egg and cress, of course cucumber sandwiches, smoked salmon, or even cheese and pickle. They are a wonderful first course, which I consider kind of the savory course in a full afternoon tea. After those savory sandwiches come the cream tea course. So let's talk about scones. Now, if you are British, I'd love for you to weigh in and tell us if you say scone or scone, because in Britain it's pronounced both ways. So do you pronounce it scone as in rhymes with bone, or scone as in rhymes with gone? Because I'm American, I say scone. Now these scones are hopefully served warm and always with the very essential clotted cream. I think clotted cream is the cornerstone of the full afternoon tea. When I get a tea here in the US, it never has clotted cream, so it's just not the same. So for those of you who don't know what clotted cream is, it is made by heating unpasteurized cream until it's very hot and then slowly cooling it until it clots. Now, since unpasteurized milk or cream is not really a big thing here in the States, it's pretty hard to find in this country. But enough about the technical side of things. Let's talk about why clotted cream is magical. Clotted cream is really kind of a hybrid. It's this wonderful substance that's very similar to butter, but also very similar to whipped cream. It's kind of in between the two. It always comes up that there's a difference between which order you put the clotted cream and the jam on your scones. And this really all comes down to a bit of a rivalry between the counties of Devon and Cornwall. In Cornwall, it's traditional to put the jam on the scones first and then top that with clotted cream. Whereas in Devon, it's customary to first put the clotted cream on the scone and then put jam on top. Now here's my foodie analysis as to why both of these ways totally make sense. Like I said, clotted cream is kind of in between butter and whipped cream. Well, in the same way that you would use whipped cream in, say, strawberry shortcake, where you have the shortcake and then you put strawberries on it and then you put whipped cream on top, that would be kind of like the Cornish way of having a cream tea, where you have the fruity jam and then the cream on top. Alternatively, in Devon, it's more like the butter usage. In the same way that here in the States, we would have biscuits and then we would put butter on top and jam on top of that. That's the same idea of taking a scone and putting clotted cream on it and then top that with fruit jam. But let's be honest, it tastes the same either way, and both are magically delicious. While scones can be sweet or savory, they usually are sweet, and certainly if topped with clotted cream and jam, it's a very sweet concoction, which is why it's a bit gilding the lily that after you've had your cream tea, the next and final course of the full afternoon tea are the cakes. And these cakes really can be any kind of dessert. As you can see here at this particular afternoon tea, there were cupcakes, and an orange cake, and a really rich chocolate cake with gold leaf on top, and even Linzer Tort cookies. But really, any type of desserts can be in this course. Typically, these cakes or desserts are small so that they are almost bite-sized and you can have a few different varieties. Because that's the thing about a full afternoon tea, you're eating a lot of different yummy things, which honestly is what makes it so amazing. I've had delightful and delicious afternoon teas in lots of places, but one of my favorite places to have afternoon tea is the Cotswolds. Stay tuned for my next video in which I share my very favorite Cotswold destinations for afternoon tea. In the meantime, please check out the description and these links for other fun videos about our afternoon tea adventures, such as an amazing place we went in Devon, my American friend's first ever afternoon tea, and even the afternoon tea I hosted in Texas. Thanks so much for watching this video, and do something good in the world today.